For any Poletector or Post Guard project, we recommend using protective eye gear as well as work gloves. This is a video tutorial for the installation of 3-ring, 4-ring, and 5-ring Poletector systems. During the video, we will explain how to determine whether a pole base gets 3 rings, 4 rings, or 5 rings. For the purposes of installation, for each pole, it is assumed that you will be installing a 4-ring system. Here is what you need for each pole: 8 half rings, 2 half lid tops, 4 double tough locks shown here, 6 single tough locks shown here. And for a 4-ring system, you will need 3 pieces of foam. For a 3-ring system, 2 pieces of foam. And for a 5-ring system, 4 pieces of foam. As you get started, the first thing you want to do is measure the circumference of these bases. The maximum circumference for a Poletector base is 80 inches. We suggest using a piece of rope or a string or a seamstress tape to measure the circumference of the base. If the base is less than 80 inches, a Poletector will fit. If a base is more than 80 inches, you will paint the base per the specifications set forth by Walmart. Okay, let's install the first ring. For each base, you want to ensure that the ground is as level as possible. If the base is surrounded by rock or dirt, flatten the area around. Add where you need to add, take away what needs to be taken away. The goal is for the first ring to be as flat as possible. This is very important as you continue to build rings. If the first ring is not level, as you add subsequent rings, you will have problems connecting the rings. Not every base is going to be surrounded by dirt, pebbles, or on a flat surface. You're going to have to deal with different types of surfaces, from slopes and uneven ground to irregular situations like curbs going into the base. In this situation, there's a slope on the ground where the base is. It is imperative that the first ring be level. Here is before, and here is after. In this situation, there's a curb going into the base. Again, we need the ring to be around the base and level. Here's before, and here is after. You're going to run into many different situations, too many to cover. It is imperative, no matter what the situation, that the first ring is level. You're also going to run into situations where you have objects and cables sticking out of the bases. Let's talk about that for a minute. Whenever possible, you want to keep these items covered by the Poletector. To do that, you're going to have to do some cutting. Here's an example of something sticking out. Conduit out of the base. You're going to cut a hole in the top to ensure that the conduit stays inside the Poletector. Here is before, and here is after. Here's a situation with 2 pieces of conduit coming out of the base. Again, same idea. We need to keep the conduit inside the ring if we can. There will be times when you're going to have to get creative. And if you're not sure how to install something, give us a call. We can walk through it together. Now let's build the first ring. Grab 2 half rings. The easiest way to put these rings together is to grab the top of the rings with each of your thumbs. Put the base against your stomach and look at the arrows to line up. You want the bottom of one ring to go underneath the top of the other ring. Make sure everything is lined up before you push the tabs in. Snap the tab. Make sure you hear the click. We are now ready to go around the base. Each ring has 2 distinguishable sides, a male and a female side, a top and a bottom. You want to make sure that the female groove is on top and not on bottom. If you put this on the wrong way, the second ring won't fit. You'll need to take apart the ring and flip it over. To do that, use a flathead screwdriver to undo the connections. rest the clip part on top of the base. When you snap the rings together, you want to make sure that the outside lip is over the underlip. Again, connect the snaps and you're waiting for the click. Click the top and the bottom snap. Now we're going to drop the ring to the ground. Move the ring around and make sure that you are nice and level. Again, a level first ring will make this a lot easier. Now we're going to put the foam in. We want to insert the foam in between the base and the ring. Shove the foam in and move around the pole. Don't be afraid to pull, you're not going to hurt the plastic. As you reach the end, it will get tighter. Just pull the ring from the base and the foam will go in. Now it's time for the second ring. Same way as the first. Take 2 half rings and connect the tabs. And as you connect the tabs, listen for the snap or click. Just like the first ring, bring the second ring around the pole. Lean the connected side against the base and begin to connect the other side using your thumbs and the tabs. Line up the tabs, line up the lips, connect and listen for the snap or click. Now it's time to connect the second ring to the first ring. Lower the second ring to the first ring. There are 2 grooves. There's a groove at the top of the first ring and there's a groove at the bottom of the second ring. We need to line those grooves up. We also want to line the seam up from the second ring to the first ring. So make sure the seams where the rings connect to each other is lined up to where the first ring and the second ring line up as well. There are also 2 holes at the top of the first ring. These are female connectors. They will connect with 2 male connectors that are on the bottom of ring number 2. By lining up the seams of the first and second ring, this will make sure that the male tab from ring number 2 lines up with the female opening from ring number 1. Having all seams lined up, begin to tap the second ring into the first ring. Once that side is in, begin to move around the pole, continuing to pound the bottom of the second ring and the top of the first ring. Make sure that the seams from the connections of the second ring are lined up with the seams from the connection of the first ring. As you work your way around, you'll want to insert your right hand inside the second ring and push the first ring with your left hand. This will help with the popping in of the first and second ring. This is where it's important that the first ring is level. Now walk around the pole and make sure that all seams are connected properly. Now we're going to take the second piece of foam and insert it inside the second ring. This will be a little bit tighter than the first ring, but it's the same concept. Again, this helps to create the tight barrier between the Poletector and the pole base. Okay, on to the third ring. We should be getting good at this now. Same premise. Connect the 2 half rings to each other, putting your thumbs on top and putting the base on your stomach. There's no need to force. These things should pop together easily. Again, we now go around the pole. We put the side that has been connected on the base and we connect the other side that has not been connected yet. Line up the arrows, line up the lips, snap, snap. We now drop the third ring on top of the second ring. Same premise. We have a groove on the top of the second ring and we have a groove on the bottom of the third ring. We have 2 male connectors at the bottom of the third ring. We have 2 open female connectors at the top of the second ring. Make sure that the seam from the third ring lines up with the seam from the second ring. Now with our hands again, start pounding the bottom of the third ring with the top of the second ring. The grooves should all align. You can see here where he gets to the end and he takes his left hand and pulls out the top of the third ring and goes to the bottom where the second and third ring meet. You can see here where it popped out on the other side. This is why it's important that once you think you're done, to walk around the entire base and make sure that the seams are connected all the way around. Now it's time for the third piece of foam. This will be even tighter than the first 2. Start on one end and work your way around. Don't be shy about pulling the ring away to shove the foam in. It won't break. Grab the top arrows to line up. So now we've made 3 rings. Now we have to make a determination as to how many rings we actually need for this particular pole. As we said in the beginning, most poles will be 4 rings. But how do you determine whether a pole needs 3 rings, 4 rings, or 5 rings? Well, here we have 3 rings. We want to make sure that we're going to cover the bottom of the pole that has those 4 bolts. We're going to take the lid, put it on top of the base of the pole. If the lid touches the 3rd ring, then you only need 3 rings. If the lid does not touch the 3rd ring, we need to add a 4th ring. So now we know we need a 4th ring. You will build this ring the same as you did the previous 3. So we've now added 4 rings. All the grooves are lined up, all the seams are lined up, and the Poletector is level. It is now time to add the lid. Take the 2 half tops and rest them on top of the 4th ring. We want to line all the male and female connectors up at this point. When we send the tops are cut with between 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch of extra clearance for the pole. That way, in case the pole is offset or something sticking out, it won't hinder the top from going into that groove. Now sometimes there are obstructions or something protruding from the pole that won't allow the lid to fit properly. In that case, we simply trim the top of the lid to go around whatever is protruding from the pole. Simply use some clippers and cut away the plastic to fit the top. Work your way out. You don't want to take too much off. When connecting the male tabs to the female side, it is very important to take your time and line all 4 tabs up. Once that's lined up, take your fingers like this. Look for the ledge. Put your fingers underneath and your thumbs on top. Make sure the ledge goes underneath the top. You're going to push up with your right hand as you push down with your left hand, and everything should snap together. Now it's time to put the tough locks in. First, the double lock, and then the single locks. Lift up the lid and look underneath. You will see tabs where the holes are on top of the lid. This is where the tough locks or clips are going to go. Make sure that these tabs are inside the top groove on the top ring. Once you have both sides of the lid connected, lower the top. First, you're going to install the double tough locks. Insert them on both sides. That adds stability to the lid as you continue to work on it. Again, make sure that the tabs are on the inside of the grooves from the top ring. Don't force it, just lower it and work your way around, pushing in and down on the top ring. You'll see here that the lid is not lined up. We're going to correct that. So now that the top is on, we notice that the top seam does not line up with the seams from the 4th ring. Simply rotate or turn the lid until it lines up with the seam. Don't be afraid to hit it. It's plastic. It's not going to break. Now we're going to add the last 2 double tough locks. Like everything else we've done, make sure that you hear a snap. With these, you need to make sure that the connectors are all the way down. You might hear a click, but look to see if there's any kind of a gap. If there's a gap, push a little bit harder until that gap goes away. Now we will do these single tough locks. Work your way around. Make sure you hear the click or snap. And there you have it, your first built 4-ring Poletector. Now take a step back and make sure that the Poletector looks reasonably level. As long as it looks visually level, you're in good shape. Let's move on to the next one.